Alex was no stranger to the eerie quiet of late-night deliveries. With each order he delivered, he navigated through the dimly lit streets, his headlights cutting through the darkness like a beacon of hope. But on one fateful night, Alex's routine delivery would unravel into a nightmare beyond his wildest imagination. It was past midnight when Alex received an order for a remote address on the outskirts of town. The delivery instructions were cryptic, simply stating, "Leave the food at the doorstep and do not knock." Despite the odd request, Alex shrugged it off as just another late-night delivery and set off into the night. As he approached the address, a sense of unease settled over him. The house loomed before him, shrouded in darkness, with no signs of life in sight. Ignoring the creeping dread, Alex parked his car and retrieved the order, his footsteps echoing in the stillness of the night. As he reached the doorstep, he hesitated. The delivery instructions echoed in his mind, urging him not to knock. But curiosity got the better of him, and he raised his hand to rap against the door. Before his knuckles could make contact, a voice from the shadows stopped him cold. "Do not knock!" Alex froze, his heart pounding in his chest. He glanced around, but the darkness concealed the source of the voice. With trembling hands, he placed the food on the doorstep and turned to leave, eager to escape the oppressive atmosphere. But as he retreated to his car, a feeling of being watched washed over him. He couldn't shake the sensation that unseen eyes were following his every move. Shaken, but determined to finish his shift, Alex pushed aside his unease and continued on his route. However, the events of that night would haunt him long after the sun rose. A few days later, Alex received another order for the same address. Despite his misgivings, he couldn't ignore the call of duty. As he made his way to the secluded house once more, a sense of dread clawed at him. This time, however, when he arrived at the doorstep, there was no eerie voice from the shadows. Instead, the door creaked open on its own accord, revealing a pitch-black interior that seemed to swallow the feeble light from his flashlight. With a knot in his stomach, Alex cautiously stepped inside, the floorboards groaning beneath his feet. The air was thick with a musty odor, and a sense of foreboding hung heavy in the air. As he ventured further into the darkness, Alex stumbled upon a scene that chilled him to the bone. The walls were adorned with strange symbols, illuminated by flickering candlelight, and at the center of the room stood a figure cloaked in shadow, its features obscured from view. A cold sweat broke out on Alex's brow as he realized he had stumbled upon something beyond his comprehension. Without a word, he turned to flee, but the door slammed shut with a resounding thud, trapping him in the suffocating darkness. Panic surged through Alex's veins as he frantically searched for an escape, but no matter how hard he tried, the room seemed to twist and shift around him, leading him further into the depths of despair. Just when he thought all hope was lost, a voice whispered from the shadows, offering him a deal. "Join us," it hissed, its words dripping with malice. With a surge of adrenaline, Alex broke free from the grip of fear and dashed towards the door. With one final effort, he flung it open and stumbled out into the cool night air, gasping for breath as if he had been holding it for an eternity. As he fled from the cursed house, Alex vowed never to return, but the memory of that night would haunt him, a constant reminder of the true horrors that lurk in the darkness of the night. And as he continued his deliveries, he couldn't shake the feeling that something malevolent was still out there, lurking in the shadows, waiting for its next victim. In the heart of the city, where the glow of streetlights barely pierced the darkness, Emily embarked on her nightly journey as a food delivery driver. Clad in her uniform and armed with a stack of orders, she ventured into the labyrinth of streets, each one shrouded in mystery as the clock struck midnight. Eerie assignment. Emily navigated through the shadowy alleys, the silence broken only by the hum of her car engine. The city seemed to slumber beneath a blanket of darkness, its secrets hidden away in the dead of night. With each delivery, Emily's nerves tingled with anticipation, a sense of unease creeping over her like a cold mist. As she approached her next destination, a chill wind whispered through the streets, sending shivers down Emily's spine. The address led her to a desolate part of town, where the buildings loomed like silent sentinels against the night sky. The haunted house. The house stood before her, its windows like vacant eyes staring into the void. Emily hesitated, a sense of foreboding settling in the pit of her stomach. The delivery instructions were simple yet unsettling. Leave the food at the doorstep and do not knock. With a trembling hand, Emily placed the food down and turned to leave. But before she could take a step, a voice from the darkness stopped her in her tracks. Do not knock! The words hung in the air like a curse, filling Emily with a sense of dread. She glanced around, searching for the source of the voice, but the shadows concealed its origin, leaving her feeling exposed and vulnerable. The sinister invitation. Despite her instincts screaming at her to flee, Emily couldn't resist the call of curiosity. A few nights later, she found herself once again at the doorstep of the mysterious house. This time, however, the door swung open on its own accord, inviting her into the darkness within. With a mixture of fear and fascination, Emily stepped inside, the floorboards creaking beneath her feet. The air was thick with the scent of decay, and a chill ran down her spine as she ventured further into the depths of the house. As she explored the dimly lit corridors, Emily stumbled upon a room bathed in flickering candlelight. At the center of the room sat a table set for two, its surface adorned with a feast of food that seemed untouched by human hands. But the most chilling sight of all was the figure seated at the head of the table, a shadowy silhouette with eyes that glinted with an otherworldly light. A sense of dread washed over Emily as she realized the true nature of the entity before her. It was not human, nor was it bound by the laws of the mortal world. It was something far more sinister, something that hungered for souls to claim as its own. With a voice that echoed with centuries of darkness, the figure spoke, offering Emily a deal that would seal her fate for eternity. Join us, it whispered, its words dripping with malice. Join us in the shadows where the night reigns eternal. But despite the allure of power and the promise of immortality, Emily knew that she could not succumb to the darkness. With a steely resolve, she rejected the offer and fled from the cursed house, the echoes of unearthly laughter following her into the night. As Emily drove away from the haunted house, she knew that her life would never be the same again. The encounter with the supernatural had left its mark on her, a reminder of the true horrors that lurked in the shadows of the night. But despite the nightmares that would haunt her for years to come, Emily refused to be consumed by fear. Armed with nothing but her courage and the light of her convictions, she continued her deliveries, a beacon of hope in a world cloaked in darkness.